Now, more of Illinois Rising, presented by the Illinois Policy Institute, the only show directly addressing the problems and solutions for Illinois. Now, from AM 560, here's Dan Proft.
Back with Diana Rickert, Vice President of Communications for the Illinois Policy Institute. You also check out Diana Rickert's columns in the Chicago Tribune. She puts together a piece once a month. Policy-oriented, always insightful, provocative even sometimes, draws the ire of public sector unions in particular. And we were just talking about this strike going on in McHenry County, first teacher strike there in 30 years. Seems like these school districts are really in the crosshairs. This one in Crystal Lake, Diana, over a couple of $1 million worth of bleachers.
Yeah, so a little bit south of McHenry, the school district in Crystal Lake 155, the high school district, they spent $1.2 million to build these ginormous bleachers for their football field. And there's nothing wrong with having bleachers for the game, except where they put them. They put them right in front of a residential neighborhood. So all of these homes that used to overlook the football field now have a great big set of, steel bleachers in their backyards. And probably the most outrageous thing about this is that the city of Crystal Lake told the school district, you can't put the bleachers there. It's against our zoning rules. And their response was, the law doesn't apply to us. So this whole lawsuit ensued. It's been going on for a real long time. And now, just in the past week or so, the Illinois Supreme Court said, you've got to take these bleachers down. And we were just doing the math before we went on the air here. We're looking at $1.7 million, not counting all the legal fees involved, to put the bleachers up and now take them down.
This is kind of a bizarre case. And in addition to that, boy, it must make these Crystal Lake residents real excited to pay their property tax bill, about 80% of which goes to the schools, when they get that in the mail after this little contretemps. For more on this, we're now joined by the mayor of Crystal Lake. He is Aaron Shepley. Mayor Shepley, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. My pleasure.
So just give us the backstory. How does community opposition, municipal opposition to doing what the school district did not prevent the school district from doing what it did and, in incurring all these legal fees and expenses that Diana just outlined?
This whole situation is really a travesty. And the people that, and as I said, after the Supreme Court handed down their decision, there's no cause for celebration, because what we're celebrating is that the taxpayers of both the school district and the city and unincorporated McHenry County took it on the chin because of the actions of that school board. And let me tell you, from day one, this was not about the city flexing its muscles or, making another governmental body jump through hoops that they wouldn't otherwise have had to jump through. This was about protecting personal property rights of the people who were impacted most egregiously by the construction of those bleachers. So, I mean, this is not a win-win situation. This is a lose-lose-lose situation.
If I live in that neighborhood, I have to imagine not only am I so mad about these bleachers that have been there for, 2 years, overlooking their homes, but the $1.7 million that were spent putting them up, taking them down, and now on legal fees. I mean, taking them down, what did the Tribune say? Chicago Tribune reported it'd be over $250,000. Can I ask, in Crystal Lake, do you guys have, $1.7 million just laying around in the rainy day fund, like disposable cash here? Well,
and, mercifully, or maybe unfortunately, because it never would have happened, the schools in Crystal Lake that serve Crystal Lake, and actually a broader area, and the municipalities were separate taxing districts. So if Crystal Lake had to pay the money, of course not. I mean, what my city manager would tell us on the council would be, well, okay, we can pay the 1.17 or 1.7, whatever the money is. We can pay it, but we're going to have less firefighters or less police officers or less public servants that are actually providing the services that people in the community need. So, yeah, no, that's a large sum of money. I think that on so many different levels, this was a misguided decision, not only from a legal standpoint, but just from a practical standpoint. And this is something that gets lost in the mix with all this. They built a stadium with 5,000 seats for a school that has a student population of 1,600 kids now.
Wow.
And according to all of the projections going forward, the enrollment is projected to decline to about 1,300 within the next 5-10 years.
So what's the deal? I mean, is this a case where they saw one too many episodes of Friday Night Lights and they thought this was going to be some big boon for the school and attracting families or something? I mean, you referred to the school district as arrogant. That sounds right, but fill in the picture. What was their response when there was so much pushback from the municipality as well as the residents?
Well, let's start from the very beginning, Dan. When it first came to our attention that this structure was being put up. And bear in mind, there was no notice given to anyone. And I would defy the school district to show any evidence, even in their own school board agendae, where they provided meaningful notice to anyone in the community, specifically the neighbors. So set aside that for a second. And in the very beginning, the notice that we had was when the neighbors called to say, oh, my goodness, you should see the steel infrastructure that they're putting up right next to our home.
So then when it was clear what was going on and there was opposition forming, then what did the school board say?
Well, we put a stop work order on them because we took the position that they needed to go through our process, and they said, oh, no, we don't. And in fact, they ignored the stop work order, and they accelerated the pace of the work so that they could get it completed, thinking that they would thereby moot any arguments that might be made by either the neighbors or the municipality. That was their response.
We're talking to Mayor Aaron Shipley, Crystal Lake Mayor. It sounds like another cautionary tale about know who's on your school board. It turns out to matter a lot with respect to the quality of life in the community in which you live. Crystal Lake Mayor Aaron Shipley, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Oh, you're welcome.